After years upon years of downloads through sketchy-looking command prompts and what the developers describe as legal uncertainty, and that's putting it lightly, Team Fortress 2 Classified is now finally on Steam. What was originally envisioned to be a scaled-back sort of bare-bones version of TF2 is now heralded by one overall encompassing idea. What if TF2 was good? Can't say that. What if TF2's development took a different route? Back in 2007, TF2's overall setting was very different. There was no Redmond and Blutarch, Greyman, Marasmus, no Saxon Hale either. Instead, TF2's setting had a much more subdued tone. The very few lore drops we had back then spoke of corrupt governments and a small number of corporate entities that control said governments. There's only a handful of anonymous oligarchs that own every single company in the world. When a dispute between these corporate entities can't be solved with paper-pushing bureaucracy, paid mercenaries are sent in to resolve these disagreements by any means necessary. TF2 leaned heavily on spy tech aesthetics, corporatism, and an exaggerated version of late-stage capitalism. Well, exaggerated for now. Don't worry, guys. We're getting there.
Of the world's 85 richest people is equal to the 3.5 billion poorest people.
It's fantastic. This is fantastic news, and of course I applaud it. What can be wrong with this?
Really?
Yes, really.
As you can probably tell, the TF2 of today went in a completely different direction in both narrative and tone than what was set out in those early years of the game. Which, by the way, I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. In hindsight, and now that we were literally given an ending to it, I think the TF2 we got is very enjoyable. It's a fun, varied, creative setting, and I think they did most of what they could do with it in-game as well. But what if it didn't happen this way? What if TF2 stuck more to the original script? Or rather, certain elements of the original script that were eventually dropped. Ultimately, that is what TF2 Classified is trying to be. Think of it as a alternative universe version of TF2. Where its development went in a different direction, focusing more on these mystery, espionage, and big business motifs. When speaking of big business, only one man really comes to mind in TF2C. Standing at a humble 4'9" frame, this is Jenkins, or more colloquially known as the Civilian. He is TF2C's premier 10th class, exclusive to the VIP game modes. The premise of VIP is simple. There's only one civilian, and the rest of his team must help him capture objectives to win the match. Civvy isn't completely useless either. Everyone sticking close to him is given a passive buff and health regen, and his one weapon allows you to give your teammates a huge buff. As of now, you have two choices. The Umbrella, which gives mini crits, allowing your teammates to more easily break chokes and make room for your fat ass, or the Derby Cane, which gives a speed boost and increased firing and reloading speed. Great for setting up offensives, as you can just let one of your teammates loose into the enemy team so there's less resistance by the time you get there. VIP as a game mode already has so much variety. A lot of the maps have the civvy capture control points, but even in that, there's variety from map to map. Sometimes you'll have to carry a flag to unlock a door, other times you'll have a limited amount of lives before an instant loss. There's even VIP Race, a symmetrical game mode where each team has their own VIP they have to escort to the enemy base before the other team does. Playing as the VIP is definitely a fun time. There's nothing quite like the sheer awesomeness that comes with being able to rally an entire team of people to an objective to cap it. At the same time though, it's also fun to be boosted by him, and it's definitely fun to land a kill on him, even being rewarded by crits once you do. Within the world of TF2 Classified, red and blue are just small cogs in a much bigger machine, now with green and yellow fighting for their share as well. This is Classified's other trademark game mode, 4-team. In my previous videos on this game, I was pretty harsh on 4-team, calling it the worst set of maps in the game. I am happy to report that I was honestly wrong and stupid. Over these past months, and now, especially with the Steam release, 4-team has definitely grown on me. It's especially really good on 32 plus player servers when there's way more than 6 players in each team. It's just pure chaos, man. Koth, Medieval, Arena, Domination, it don't matter. The carnage of having this many people pitted against each other, all on different teams, is the kind of craziness that can only really grow on you as you play. You really gotta rewire your brain though for a second to adjust to the fact that you have to be on the lookout for 3 enemy teams instead of just 1. After you do though, it definitely becomes a highlight of the game. The Steam release has also introduced a 4-team version of Payload Race via the map Sisyphus, and my goodness, this is just so awesome. The big fan in the middle of the map pushing people up, the absolute maze of tracks surrounding everything, the fact that when one team starts pushing too well, almost always all 3 other teams decide to completely gang up on them. So yeah, this is my formal apology for dissing the game mode before. I have now seen the light and been converted into the 4-team agenda. TF2C has many more unique game modes and maps specifically made for it, but I don't want to rob you of the joy of discovery when you play the game for yourself, you know. If you'd prefer to be robbed though, I'll link my previous videos on this game where I go much deeper into all of them. But TF2C isn't just new maps and game modes, there's also a whole new arsenal of weapons to play with. A big bulk of the weapons from base TF2 have been removed entirely. A lot of people immediately cite this as a negative of the game, but please hear me out what I have to say first, and then you can make up your mind about it after, okay? TF2C definitely trims the fat from TF2's arsenal. Gone are the complete paperweights like the sharpened volcano fragment or third degree. The weapons that have made the cut are ones that more substantially switch up the class's gameplay. Things like the gunboats, flare gun, sandwich, huntsman, kritzkrieg, etc. are all here to stay. I've noticed that all the brand new guns added to this game focus on 2 very important aspects: synergy and extra interactions between different classes. For example, let's take a look at the heavy melee Chekhov's Punch and the medic melee Shock Therapy. Both of these substantially shake up the way you play each class. Chekhov's Punch allows the heavy to store up crits after scoring melee hits. Oh, that rhymed. It synergizes well with the game's AA cannon and the stock shotgun, allowing heavy to more reliably one-shot other classes. As a drawback though, heavies with the Chekhov always take crit damage from melees. Medic's Shock Therapy on the other hand has a charged ability that allows you to fully heal teammates with one swing, giving you a lot of utility and the potential to save a teammate whose damage you can't out-heal. The Shock Therapy can also deal a flat 100 melee damage to enemies if your meter is fully charged. I think you see where I'm going with this. A medic can completely capitalize on both the Shock Therapy's damage output and Chekhov's weakness to completely melt a heavy with a 300 damage melee swing. And the beauty of it is that this isn't a one-sided matchup either, as the Shock Therapy gives a reduction in Medic's rate of healing, creating situations where the heavy can take down the enemy med's patience way more easily, especially if he's using the Chekhov and fully capitalizing on that crit damage. These 2 weapons aren't made to directly counter each other. They both have their own niche completely separated from one another, and even still, they have this entire cat and mouse counterplay aspect to them that can pretty much change the course of an entire team fight if players know how to play to their strengths and cover their weaknesses. Like, not to dog on regular TF2, but a lot of its counterplay options are a lot more shallow by comparison. Want to counter spies? Just equip the thing that makes you almost completely immune to backstabs. Pyros keep revealing you when you're cloaking? Just equip the knife that makes you immune to being burned for a little bit. What I'm trying to say is that in TF2, a lot of weapons are specifically designed to counter certain classes and playstyles, while in TF2 Classified, these counterplays are built into the weapons and are a lot more subtle. Rather than an overt counter to another class, The player has to carefully think about their matchups and figure out their counterplay by actually actively thinking about the stats of their weapons. This makes each interaction so much more fun in the long run, genuinely. Counterplay is one thing, but synergy with the rest of your arsenal is another thing Classified excels at. Take the Cyclops, a Demoman primary that allows you to control the detonations of your pipes, which completely changes the way you aim with it, sacrificing pure damage output for consistency and crowd control. Well, the Cyclops has a unique ability to nullify all other enemy explosives in its range, as well as instantly detonating yours. Detonating your own explosives isn't all that useful when it comes to stickies. But if you pair it with TF2C's Dynamite Pack secondary, a whole new piece of Demoman tech opens up. Dynamite has a set time it explodes at. This set explosion time makes it great for setting up extra damage on objectives and whatnot, but it struggles with quicker interactions, where your enemies are on the move a lot more. This is when you can use these two weapons to do what is now dubbed as Demoman bowling. Throwing down the dynamite and then immediately detonating a Cyclops pipe on top of it causes both to explode at the exact same time, causing a massive amount of damage to anyone unfortunate enough to stand on it. That's not even mentioning all the layers of counterplay present either. A pyro can extinguish your dynamite, or an engineer can whack it with his wrench to completely nullify it before you can complete your 1-2 punch. I can go on and on. Most of this game's arsenal is exactly like this, both fun to combo with and to counter against. I'll spare all the details for now though, and if you still want to hear my thoughts on every single weapon, I'm gonna be doing a tier list video with all of them really soon, so subscribe if you don't want to miss it. I will be a negative Nancy just for a little bit though, as not every single weapon in this mod is that deep or good. Unfortunately, the mine layer is still here. They keep trying to slightly retool it, and my opinion on it is still unchanged. Giving Demoman stickies that detonate on their own is a flawed idea from the start. It removes like the most fun part of getting a kill with stickies, that moment where you press detonate and see your enemy blow up by your own hand. The weapon's counterplay is lame as well. You can edge the bombs to make them explode before hurting you, I guess. It sucks to fight against, and it's equally boring to use. I said in one of my previous videos that it should be flat out removed, and honestly, I still stand by that. The coil gun for Engineer was never really that much of a standout, but I found it a good enough side grade for the pistol, extending its range at the cost of consistency. But they like slightly retooled it now. Before, you could hold down the left mouse button for rapid fire, less powerful shots, and then hold down the right mouse button to charge up a stronger ricocheting bullet. Now, both of these are on the same mouse button, where you have to awkwardly tap the button for the smaller shots and hold it down for the stronger one. It just feels infinitely worse to use, and with no way to make it work like it did before in the settings. The coil gun is by no means a bad weapon, but this slight rework just makes it so much clunkier to use. I think that's the end of me being a negative Nancy. I was gonna complain about some bugs, but the game's actively being fixed and worked on at a brisk pace, so I have no doubt that all these small bugs are gonna be ironed out in no time at all. Overall, the game is in a good state now. It looks cleaner, it runs better, and the community for it has been absolutely popping. I think the TF2 Classified we have now is definitely a good foundation to build off of. The game still needs more content, specifically more weapons in my opinion, as some classes have a lot more variety in their loadouts than others. Now that it's on Steam though, and its team being all hardworking and genuinely lovely people all around, I have no doubt that this will eventually become one of the best online shooters out there. There's no hyperbole in me saying that. I can't wait for the next major update, and you can absolutely bet that I'll be making a video on it the moment it drops. To close though, I want to briefly touch on the fact that me and my friends have been running a custom TF2 Classified server that runs exclusively really fun, forgotten custom TF2 maps made from 2007 to 2012. In fact, you might have already noticed some silly ones from the background footage. Maps made in 2007, like Falling_CP, have a completely new life on TF2C, with weapons like the Anchor completely changing the way the map is played.
Holy shit! Yo! Are you recording that, please?
If you're interested in giving these old maps a shot in TF2 Classified, join our community Discord in the description, where I send out pings whenever I'm playing on the server. If our player numbers keep going up the way they are now, we'll have the means to open up the server in more regions in no time. I hope to see you there, and I definitely urge you to give TF2 Classified a chance if you haven't already. Also, the devs have finally opened up donations, so high-key consider supporting them if you've already been enjoying the game for a while like I have. That's it for now. Expect more TF2C videos in the future. My name's Indy, and I hope you stick around.